Choose our board number 442. And let's spawn cold and start our jet. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So we'll arm up after we spawn in. Let's get ourselves started in Akrotiri. Don't really know that base very well. We'll learn it here shortly. So, talk a little bit about what it was like to work in and around the Hornet as a young man. Man, it was amazing. To get to learn to do anything on the Hornet was amazing to me. And some people just didn't like work. There were those people. Most of us really loved our jobs. We worked really hard. We were proud to be gladiators because we got to do way more than everybody else. And we didn't spend most of our time sitting around doing nothing or doing shitter duty or stuff like that. Most of us had to work very hard, and we loved it. We got to work on the bird a lot, and I got to get turn qualled. So learning to get turn qualled was amazing at 18 years old, meeting Shocker from our Discord, Brian Moore, Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, teaching me how to do things like test my batteries. And we're going to go in override and test our battery in override. Make sure our EBAT's good, battery on, make sure our UBAT's good, everything's strong. And then let's do our fire test A.
Engine fire left.
So,
Engine
many
fire
ways
left.
to start a Hornet.
Engine fire
Not
right.
just one, but you got to do certain
Engine
things.
fire right.
So we're going to test our bottle, make sure our
fire.
bottles work. APU bottle works.
Fire.
We see the ready light
Bleed
comes
air
on when we
left.
push these in.
Bleed air left.
That lets us know
Bleed air
the
right.
fire system's working.
Bleed
We also
air
got to
right.
test and make sure the fuel cutoffs work on these if we're going to go on a long trip. So we'll do that in a second. Alright, A test is done. We're going to take a pause. We'll go into override for a second. Reset the Betty's tape is a real tape. And you need 10 seconds for her to rewind. So you just kind of do some things. I always started in override. And then that always allowed me as a maintenance person to test a certain system that is in override. Your APU will not start. So as part of the test, I would test it. Fire test A in override, so I knew my APU wouldn't start. And there you have it. So now we've got fire test B to go.
Engine fire
There
left.
we go, fire test B, which is
Engine
right over
fire
here by
left.
our leg.
Engine fire right.
We listen to Betty. Carry
Engine
on.
fire right.
Tell us the story of her life.
APU
Yes, Betty.
fire.
Tell us.
APU fire.
Test again. Make sure the ready
Bleed
bottle
air
comes
left.
on.
Bleed air left.
Make sure the ready bottle comes on.
Bleed air right.
Make sure the ready
Bleed
bottle
air
comes
right.
on. Alright, that's done. Let's do something else. So we got our bat on. We want to check and make sure our APU doesn't fire. Ready lights on. Let's try to fire our APU. It's a no bueno. Right? Good. That system checks. Let's unbox that. And let's start that APU up. And wait our 30 seconds for our green light. So we're going to make sure we split our throttles. When we jumped in the jet, we would have tested our throttles. We'd have run them up. We'd have run them back. We'd have made sure all of our switches were safe. Everything was done right. Like master arm was safe. Anything else. So we'll assume we already did that. There, we got our good fire on our APU. Should have a green light over there. Yep, we do. Alright, so now what we want to do is that's engine 3, the APU. So we fired engine 3. We tested to make sure it wouldn't fire. Now let's do the same thing on engine 2. Let's push this light in, make sure that ready bottle goes, and let's select number 2 engine start. Watch our APU pull up. We're going to test to make sure the APU runs up high, 30, wants to push a good set of RPMs, need a good strong APU. We're going to go cross country, let's say. So we're not going to have a plane captain on there, and make sure we don't want to have a failure, so there we go. We got... Yeah, keep pushing a little bit. Alright, we got it. We got it. Good APU. Now let's try to light this thing. Let's go up. See what happens. Oh, we got no light. We had a little bit of push of some fuel and no light. Good. Let's go retard the throttles back to off. That checks. That fuel shutoff valve works. So now let's go back up and start this bad boy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to kill our APU. There we go. We're getting started. Let's shut our APU down. There we go. APU is going to be off. So now what we want to do is we want to do the same thing on this other side. Only we want to test our APU huff start. So we're going to shut this fuel off on this side. And we want to run the number 2 engine up to 78, 80. Slow up. Run it up. Above 77 you should be able to get push of bleed. So we're going to cycle our bleed air knobs right now. Should be back. Yep, there we go. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to select engine start on this other motor here. We want to run it up. We want to make sure it doesn't start because we've checking the fuel cutoff valves, make sure they work. So let's push a little bit more on our number 2 engine. There we go. So now let's try to light this bad boy. See if she'll light. Oh, we got a little puff of some fuel. Got a little temperature. Nope, she don't light. Okay, let's bring it back down. Retard the throttles to off. And let's select our fuel shutoff valve. Close our cage. Close our cage. Now let's light it. Let's go ahead and advance the throttle. And let's huff start our motor. Go ahead and turn our right DDI on. Go ahead and start our left when we got light. Yeah, left DDI on and center AMPCD. Takes a while for it to start up. So there we have that. We can bring our throttle back down and bring them back down to idle. There we go. Our system's checked. We're good to go. Now what we want to do is we want to reset our flight controls and our flaps by pulling the paddle switch and pulling it back and then hitting FCS reset. We should get a G limit override. There we go. And let's reset our rudder trim. Takeoff. That's done. Now let's go over here and let's do our FCS test on our flight controls. There we go. In test. Let's check. It's so loud out here. Yeah. There we go. Flight controls are rotating. All is well. Let's close our canopy up now. Get it quiet. Rails, rails. It's clear. Canopy down. There we go. So now let's go ahead and align our jet. There we go. It's going to take a minute. Let's go ahead and turn our hammocks on. HMD. Turn blink off. Set our mids. Select member. Return. Just do an alignment. There we go. Line it up with our TDC cursor. Tap it one more time with our cage switch on our throttle. And there we have it. Let's go back out. Deselect alignment. Go to menu. Let's turn our SA on. Burn our raw gear real quick on the deck. Select that. There, SA set. Now while we're aligning, let's hit data. Go down here and select waypoint 59 as our air-to-air waypoint. Box it over here. Push button 2. Now let's go back up to waypoint 0, which will be our indicator of where we are currently by our stored heading. HSI again. Alright, so what we want to do is decide what we want to do. Let's uncage our backups now. Finish getting our jet ready. Let's set our rad out. If you'll notice we're at 70, let's put our radar altimeter from Barrow to that, and then let's set this to, let's say anything, 500. Now we're zeroed out. So there we go. Good and zeroed out. Let's use the F10 map. Let's go out. Woo! Let's check it out. What are we going to do for Makotiri? So we could go up here and try to finish this off, I guess. I don't know why we haven't taken this. I guess a helo needs to land. I'm not any good with that, man. Don't get me to lying. So Lanarka. We've still got some good targets at Lanarka.